Willkommen bei Wisdom und Weights Podcast, der Ort, an dem Muskelaufbau, Fettverlust, Gesundheit und praxistaugliche Tipps zur schnellen Umsetzung aufeinandertreffen.
Mit Marcel und Luis navigierst du durch den Informationsdschungel, profitierst von ihrer geballten Erfahrung und erhältst alle Tools, um das Beste aus deinem Prozess herauszuholen, ohne dabei dein Sozialleben zu opfern und dennoch nachhaltige Ergebnisse zu erzielen. Gemeinsam optimieren wir deine Entwicklung und decken dabei Mythen und Fehler auf, um die beste Version deiner selbst zu werden und dein volles Potenzial zu entfalten.
Begleitet von den neuesten Fakten, einer Prise Humor und geballten Know-how bieten wir dir alles, was du für realistische Veränderungen benötigst. Wir wünschen dir viel Spaß bei der neuesten Folge und ich würde sagen, wir starten direkt rein.
Herzlich willkommen zum Wisdom and Weights Podcast. Heute mit einem ganz besonderen Gast, Gingertraining. Einmal der gute Josh. Und wir haben den guten Mann eingeladen, weil er sehr vieles zu berichten hat. Einmal aus der britischen Szene und weil er uns gefällt, weil er ein authentischer Kerl ist, gerade raus und ja einiges an Erfahrung mitbringt. Wir sprechen heute über die verschiedensten Themen. Ein großes Thema davon, was mich bei Josh interessiert, ist vor allem, wie man seine Aufbauphase maximiert. Und ich würde sagen, wir lassen Josh einmal sich selbst vorstellen. Josh, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming on.
Anytime.
Do you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I'm Josh, pretty much known as Ginger Josh, but my full name's Josh Goold. I'm a bodybuilder from the UK who's trying to turn professional this year for try my first time at pro qualifiers. So hopefully I do. I'm an online coach, so I coach not just competitors but lifestyle people as well. I call them non-competitive bodybuilding savages, so people who don't compete but live the bodybuilding lifestyle. But then I do have a fair amount of competitors. I'm really sorry, but my cat's climbed my chair. Little Socks is making an appearance as well. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you won't know that these two little kittens that we got a couple of weeks ago, it's been a little while now, are really curious cats and has currently climbed my thing. So there you go. So if you see another one climb up in a bit, I'll probably have to take them off in a bit, but that's going to be part of it. So yeah, that's pretty much me. There you go.
Awesome. So how old are you? How old are you?
So you probably won't believe it, but I'm only 28.
Ah, yeah. So
yes,
you're as old as me and a little bit younger than Manuel.
I look
right in
like,
the middle.
Yeah, people don't believe me. Like there was this woman at the gym. I'll tell you, she looked really good looking for her age. And my training partner, who's a bit older, so he's about 47, 46 actually. And he goes to her. He's gone off and talked to her while I was warming up, and he was like, "By the way, that woman's 49." I was like, "Fuck off, is she? She's having you on?" So I went up to her and I was like, "You're really 49? You're lying to us, aren't you?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Well, what do you think I am?" She went, 10 years younger than me. I went, "Oh, fuck off! I'm 28, mate." She turned around. She was like, "Oh, sorry." I was like, "Oh, fuck." I was like, "That's what happens if you've got poor genes and you take lots of anabolics. It fucking ages you quickly. Get down." There you go.
Yeah. Like how do you grow such a thick beard? Because I want to know.
Oh, lots of testosterone and just good genes, brother. You know what? I get lots of people speak to me about the beard. So started growing the beard about 2018, and it was really just after the British. I did the British in 2018 as a junior, and I was like, I'm going to see if I can grow my beard. And my wife was like, "Yeah, try it." Well, she was with my girlfriend at the time, so I tried it and started growing, and I got it really long, and it looked terrible. And then I was like, I need to sort this out. So I started shaving up, and then she's like, "Do you think you'll ever shave it again?" I'm like, "Do you know what? The thing is, it's become me, and I have to keep it." So I was like, "Yeah," and it's just got it just gets really thick. But you see this, if I let my body hair grow, this is what it would look like on my whole body. So it's great, but you have to shave every 3 days, your body. And as a bodybuilder, because I don't like body hair, rub it on my top and shit like that. So yeah, it looks cool on your face, but when it's your back, it's a bit of shit.
But the
Awesome.
big benefit of it, if you're in an off season, then you can shave your six pack.
Yeah.
Looks like one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just shake it down and be like, yeah, I'm actually okay. I'm not too bad.
So or I would say I myself follow you for quite a while now, and I'd say that you are a big fan of hard, consistent work, doing the basics, keeping it simple. I'd say, not overcomplicating it.
Yeah, to a degree. I've nicknamed it common sense bodybuilding.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
which like the funny thing is my background actually I've got a degree in strength and conditioning. So like I actually went and did like biomechanics at university and so I've actually got like probably one of the few coaches who've actually got a degree within the subject and actually knows a lot. Yet again, I'm like, I see a lot of confusion nowadays where I'm like, look, why are you over complicating everything here? Why are we making it so, like keep it fucking basic, keep it simple. Don't get me wrong, like doing a cable cuff for a side lateral raise over a dumbbell, yeah, you can probably going to create a better connection, whatever. But trying to reinvent it to the point where you stand on the box and you make sure that you get your ruler out to fucking make sure you're on a 45-degree angle because I can. By the time you've done that, I've done my sets. My delts are 3 times the size of yours. I'm fucking game over, brother. Like what are you doing? And and there's lots of overcomplication, but it's like the people who are overcomplicating it, they're not doing the basic. It's like, no. Do the basic. Build your delts. Get on stage. You still got no delts? Something's wrong. Like you spent 2 years trying to grow them, and then you got on stage and they weren't there. But whatever you did, it didn't work. Let's get back to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like trying to sprint before you can even walk. Like, come on. So yeah,
yeah.
I think what you just hit me, kind of hit the nail on the head there. I like that, but I don't swing far, far left to the point where it's like far right to the point where it's like like just
Bench
branch
Warren
off,
yeah.
like that sort of branch rolls on, which it worked for Branch. We can't say like I love Branch. Like you're my favorite bodybuilder, right? I'm a white guy. He was a white guy. I can resemble to that. Do you know what I'm saying? Hard, grainy muscle, thick, dense. But like I'm not that far. But yet again, I'm not all the way over here. I'm like, there's a nice balance. I like to think someone I always looked up to training, obviously Jordan Peters, but more than ever. And unfortunately, just before he passed, was John Meadows because he was the one person when he'd be like very quite science, like really intelligent, but yeah, he would do some things and you'd be like, that's pretty wacky, but like kind of makes sense. Like that's quite cool,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
we talked to Dr. Scott Stevenson on our podcast.
Oh, excellent, fantastic bloke.
Yeah, and I think he's a great example of combining the two worlds together of just training hard and making good decisions that actually
Yeah.
have a background. Like, how do you keep the balance personally of getting the job done and I'd say going for optimal?
It's a good question, actually. Like, find the balance of it all. It's like finding what works and what's not distracting me. What's not distracting you away from, like, okay, within a set, are you really, are you faffing around setting something up for 15 minutes? Like, you're trying to fucking keep the session frequency at some degree at a good pace. Let's remember that, right? Especially like in a prep where you're like, you're gonna be expending a lot of calories. Like most of your calories are being expended. Your cardio, nah, you're training, bro. Like that's where the body's gonna change because you're going, your muscles going, fuck, you need to stick around, bro. Like this pec needs to stay because it needs to move that weight again, And I think yeah, it's just trying making sure you're not getting distracted, finding things that are like way overcomplicated, and then finding things that actually this works quite well but in this setting. And I always said this, like I said this, and I got this from my degree. It was like a great coach is someone who can apply theory to a practical situation. And it came from it's totally not related to bodybuilding, but it came from Mark Finley, who's a strength and conditioning coach, and he was Northampton Saints, is like a big rugby club in the UK. Well, not crazy big, but it's still big. He was the head of strength and conditioning, and he came to our class. And we were the third year, so third year university student. You're a fucking know-it-all. You know, you think you know it all. You don't know it all. You've got no real world experience. You know, you think you know. And he was like, we used to be in with the master students, and he got us to do this exercise, and he was like, right, plan this for me. The master students were like, well, what we would do, like every hour, we would take their like blood glucose and do this. And he was like, yeah, but you've got 50 minutes with 25 guys. What are you going to do? And they all looked puzzled. They were like, what do you mean? He's like, and our group, we were like, we'll do like a 1 rep max test. He's like, well, a 1 rep max test takes you hours. No. You're just going to take a mean of what they can lift, get them in there, and get as much as you can. It was like everything I just learned for 3 years just crumbled into nothing. And I was like, and he put a leg press in the program, and we got told, if you put leg press in the program, we're going to fail you. And we were like, we all looked at our fucking tutor and were like, what the fuck have we been learning? Like, do you know? But it was like, you know, like, welcome to the real world, and apply some of the science that we know, and just apply it where you can and where it's applicable, because it's not applicable there. And the same for bodybuilding. Don't get me wrong, we work on a 1-to-1 scale, but man, like, how much time do you have in the gym? How much of effective sets are you really getting from doing X, Y, Z? Like, yes, doing certain things do good, but if you're setting up a box on top of a box and doing this and doing that, when, you know what, you could literally just grab your dumbbell and control your eccentric a little bit more and try and create a bit more tension. The person probably grabbing the dumbbell and doing the work and putting the effort in is probably going to make better gains. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
So that's the I'd say that's about the exercise selection and setup thing. What do you think? I mean, it's totally individual, but what do you think should be if you have let's have an example. You have a person who has 3 years of training experience, and he comes to you with a very overcomplicated plan with daisy chains and all the good stuff. What would you recommend him doing when he basically just asks you repeatedly, changing his plan to match the resistance profile, and like getting more into the nitty-gritty stuff? I'd say.
Do you know what the first thing? The first thing I do is to look at your physique. Have a look at him. Is this guy making good progress? 3 years? Like, let's say this person is fucking taking 1.5 grams of gear a week. This person's fucking like eating, saying their adherence. They don't miss a meal. You look at them, you're like, fuck me, lad, mate. Like, you're not making much progress. Like, you're doing your 30-pound, 40-pound push-ups, and you're putting on a pound. Do you think what you're doing is effective? Let's have a look. And then it's like, the penny's going to drop. Either the penny's going to drop, they're going to be like, oh, shit. And then also, another one is, like, if they are making good progress, fucking let's go. Like, do you know what I mean? That makes sense. It's obviously working. Let's keep going with it. And maybe make some tweaks here and there, right? Try and make things a little bit better. You know, and then, you know, another thing is, what's this person enjoy? That's another thing. Like, do you enjoy training like this? Or like, because if someone's obsessed with progression, like me, I'm obsessed with progressing. You could tell me, Lewis, like, you've got to train 7 days a week and you will progress like 3 more times as fast as you are. I'll do it, right? I don't care. You've got to train a bro split. You've got to train a full body split. I would do it because I want that progress more than I enjoy my arm day or that I enjoy my push day, or whatever it is. I want to progress. So if I'm addicted to the progression, I don't really care really what I'm doing at that moment in time. Yet again, you might have someone who's the polar opposite. I've got clients like this where it's like, yeah, you would be really beneficial if you could train your body parts more frequently, but I put you on a push-pull legs and you just don't put any effort in. Your head goes, you crumble, and you're like, fucking hell, mate, your progress is shit. And it's like, give them a split which is like a bro split, and they're fucking in there like going balls to the walls on fucking squats. They're going for it, and you're like, this guy's growing like fucking nothing. But like in theory, if he could put that or she could put that effort and train more frequently, well then they're going to grow better. But at the minute, like they can't. That's not there. So I think that's a big like, and this is where I feel like I can relate to someone like John Meadows would say, are you enjoying it? If you're not, then what the fuck are you doing? Like, let's go. Like that's a big factor. But now, yeah, again, in the same sentence, that person who's like, let's say that person's hitting a wall and their progress is good, but it's not like they're putting on some weight, they're growing, but they're like, yeah, I want to be Nick Walker. And you're like, well, you're 28 years old. You're like, by the way that you're going to be Nick Walker size. And you might get there in your 40s, but you're done by then. It's over for you by then. You've already been abusing anabolics for 8 years. Like, you can't, like, come on, man. Like, do you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, well, what do you care more about, the progression or that enjoyment, or what it is, or can you get the same feeling you get from training like that to training there? So yeah, that's how I would answer that one. I know it doesn't give you a straight answer, but certainly, like probably get you a bit, because sometimes I come across on Instagram that I'm like, nah, this is the way, where I'm like, because I am like common sense. But yeah, again, in the same breath, I'm like, if you're doing something you enjoy, you're going to be putting intensity in there. And we both know that if you're putting intensity in there and you're training hard, you're going to change. No, you're going to change compared to doing something that you're fucking around with. But yet again, I don't see many people training the overcomplicated way with intensity either, because their question, the next thing is, oh, I need a deload. I'm like, for fuck's sake, oh, I'm fatigued. I don't think I need to go at least 3 R&R today. You're like, what the fuck you on about?
So you would say that, like, I'm not sure how it's called in English, like put the cart before the horse or something. Is it right?
I think so.
The same?
Yeah.
So would you say that effort is the horse?
Yeah, I'd say number one, effort level. Like effort level is number one. Like intensity, effort, work ethic, number one. Then it's like changing, manipulating things. Then you're going to get there. Like certainly need to sort that out. Don't get me wrong. Probably in between effort level, form, making sure we're good with things, and then tweaking around with things. Because yeah, again, you might have someone who have shit side delts, and you're like, let's see your form, and it's like, you don't need to be doing all these other exercises. You need to get your form right first of all. Like, you're doing a fucking this kind of shit. Like, what are you doing here? Like, that's, like, oh yeah, I really struggle to bring up my side delts. No, you just don't train them correctly. Let's get this in a better spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, again,
So, yeah.
Common sense bodybuilding though. Like, that's before we, give you open heart surgery. Let's like look at seeing if you actually have any problems with your heart first.
Yeah. This is what I really enjoy about your content, because it's very simple to understand, but it like, how is it called in English? Straightforward. Yes.
Point.
If we look into your profile, we see I would say a bigger dude than us, who's in I'd say a good calorie surplus. Would you say the same?
Well, when at the minute, or like before when I was bulking? At the minute, I'm dieting for my shows. So at the minute,
when?
I've been dieting for quite a few weeks now. So I'm actually 11 weeks out. So I'm a lot leaner than I was. So I'm at 250. I was 250 today. Starting weight of prep was 274. My peak off season was 287. But then as soon as we pulled drugs out, I went all the way down to about like 274. Like all the inflammation, water retention came off my legs. I was like, woo, I can breathe. I felt great. I was like, sweet. And then, so I've been actually hovering around in the 250s for the last couple of weeks. But we just started adding anabolics and things like this. So, like if you'll notice I did post some actual fasted photos where you can see that I'm a lot leaner. And I'm getting leaner, I'm getting better.
It's in 11 weeks. It's only the first show, right?
Yeah, 11 weeks is the regional, and then 13 weeks is the Milan. This is the pro qualifier I'm doing. Yeah, my body changes quite fast. I'm always someone who's had to like push it. I've always someone who sort of had to push things a little bit. So like today, for instance, I had to do 70 minutes of cardio. So my cardio has been like for the next 2 days is 70. So it's like 2 sessions of cardio. I've got to wait out of my pull session today. Like my training, my rest day carbs are like down to like 190. So I've always been someone who's had to push it, but then like I push it and I will drop. So like over the next 2 days, I'll probably drop easy a good 6 pounds and cut off. But then I've got a high day to do on Saturday, so I'll get low and get flat, and then I'll just push back up and I'll be good, and then I'll be come back down again. So yeah, you probably over the next sort of 2-3 weeks, you'll probably look at me and be like, why has he made so much progress in such a small space of time? It's like just sort of how my body's been, especially like been working with Sasan for quite a while now. He sort of knows that from the last prep. Like he was just figuring out my body, and I didn't give him a lot of time. Like I came and I was like, yeah, I need a new coach. I need a coach to help me prep because I was with Jordan, and Jordan was sort of stepping away from coaching. So I was like, okay, I need someone. And I got with Sasan at like 18 weeks, and he was like, oh, your food's pretty low, and like you need to be pushed a bit harder. And so I was sort of, you know, I'll talk about it. Like when I was with the last bits with Jordan, the last couple of months, you could tell that he was sort of falling in love out with it because I sort of stayed at the same weight and stagnated. And now I look back, I'm like, I don't think he was paying attention. I don't think he was.
Okay.
I think he just looked at my feedback and went, "Oh, you're all right," like kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, certainly if that person was coming to me, I'd be going, "Whoa, you need a push. Like your food's not high enough. You're eating way too many fats." Well, I don't know how I felt. I didn't know I felt like this until Sasan pulled me on lower fat. Suddenly, my metabolism went boom. I was like, everything down. I was like, whoa, I feel great. And he also like took a lot of things out. So he just was like, yeah, like you've got 2 fat sources, you've got like 3 carb sources, protein source. Like he made it a lot less complicated, and he just got things going. And he pushed me. So I went from 218 to 229 that first bit, and then we started like in 4 weeks. I went from 218 to 229, and we started prep at 14 weeks out. And I was like softer than I was at the start of my prep this one, and it was like 14 weeks to get in shape. I remember people were like, "You're not going to get in shape," and it was like, "Sorry, my glutes say what?" Like, what do you talk to the glutes? But yeah, people underestimate work ethic massively. That's for sure.
Yeah, you actually did make a lot of progress if you really compared, especially in your midsection. And by the way, is there a body part on you where you have actually trouble losing some body fat? Because for some athletes, for example, it's the glutes, it's the stomach, or it's somebody else? Or is it just your whole body that is actually in a good distribution of body fat?
So I hold body fat poorly on my lower back. So like, like the reason why in off season I don't like post lower back shots. That's why those fasting photos. That's why those photos on that post I put when I'm fasted. Like I put the photos from the front because from the front you're like, oh, he's getting pretty lean now. Like this is okay. Okay, you can see some abdominals are clear coming through, etc. And I was like, but yeah, from the lower back I'll hold it from hips, but it doesn't. It's stubborn, but it will come off pretty fast. Like if I have to push it. Oh, my wife's bringing my food in. Oh, cheers.
Oh, perfect. Greetings.
Yeah, sorry, I've got to eat soon, so I just want to make sure. If it's all right for me to eat on the podcast, I'm all right with that.
Don't forget the ketchup.
Don't forget the ketchup. No, I won't eat straight away, but I just got to make sure I get it in. So
Yeah, no problem.
yeah, pretty much. It's stubborn a little bit, but like I do some more cardio. I eat a lot less food. Yeah, cool. Like it comes off, and once it's off, and it looks great. Like it doesn't. I'm not someone who holds it badly. I know what you mean. Like I've got like Dean, for instance, is a client of mine who I recently got on stage, and like it's like you got glute striations, but why are we holding fat on your lower back? Like what the fuck is going on? How is this even possible? Do you know what I mean? I'm actually saying like quite a decent bit, so it's like you had to suck him down the worst thing is I had to suck him down all the way down to like 83 kg. He got on stage after his carb up 91, but that's how much he had to suck down. He had to suck right down to get him all the way back up. And he got on stage and it was like, oh man, it was like wicked. but it's like, I had to get him. I was like, Dean, pull your skin and pinch it and see how much is there. Is that just like loose skin, like because you're getting old? And it wasn't. It was fat, and I wasn't mistaken. They're little things as well. You can help you as a coach. Get some of the old skin. Just grab your skin and pinch it. Send me a video of it. Let's see how thin your skin is.
You talked in one of your previous videos about what you did differently in this growth phase in terms of food that was going in. What are some key elements to push food up, or how do you keep hunger high?
Oh man, do you know what? Off-season cardio was key. That kept hunger in a lot better position and digestion in a lot better position. More than anything, it kept fitness in a good position, which was really important for me because that became quite evident. The first push-up I did with Sasson, I got to like 265. Quite worryingly, finding myself getting very out of breath. And I was like, whoa, like doing 3 walks a day we were doing. I said to him, I'd rather do spin bike and just do half an hour a day. And we did that and it noticeably got better, like noticeably. So in terms of hunger, funnily enough, I'm not someone who has a huge appetite. I just fucking force it. Sassan said to me, you're psychotically driven. That's what he said. So I don't have any tips for you in terms of me on how I get it down, but what I have done with clients is walks between meals, which is Staneffording method. Like the short 10-minute walks between meals.
Yeah.
Having your eat a little higher than it needs to be. Off-season cardio, being present, being there, and then not just being lazy, and then using food sources that digest well. Maybe lower fiber foods that are going to be better. Maybe opting for faster digesting fats. Maybe having a lower fat diet and maybe pushing your carbs higher might be a little bit helpful for you. Maybe not pushing your protein crazy high. Maybe having your protein at sort of at the cusp at the limit can be quite helpful. And I've done that with clients before who struggle to get their food in on there. So potentially we're not going sort of like too crazy on the old protein. And old Sassan's kind of like big on protein. I don't put my clients on the protein that I eat, that's for sure, because I don't think many can do it, and I don't think it's necessary. Which is funny enough, he actually bought down at the start of prep. So there's strategies like just like that, and then it's just willpower, and then also organization, being organized, just making sure that you're organizing your day, know when you're going to eat, know when you're going to do this. Like I have a client and his biggest issue is it lets him down in the growth phase is it's that disorganization. It doesn't help with his job, with his night shifts. Sometimes he that doesn't help him at all. But it's like really being organized with it can really help. And then just obviously finding your way, finding your way to get the food down. If that's lowering fats or having a little bit less protein or using carb sources or fucking the worst. It's not great for your digestion, but blending fucking meals if you need to.
That would be my next question. Are you would you say in terms of digestion that blending food is a good idea?
No, but look, man, this is where common sense bodybuilding. I could sit here and give you a lecture on why not to do it, but then I also know that you've got a goal. I also know that you're fucking hungry for it. And I also know that there's only 24 hours in a day, and you guys, you got, even if you're a full-time coach, you still got a fucking job to do. You still got a training session to get to. You still got like stuff going on. There are times where it's going to happen. There's times it's going to happen, but just try and not make it, too regular. If you're doing one blended meal a day, which is a whey shake, look, yeah, cool. You're probably able to get away with that. If you start noticing that you're really bloated and feel fucked and feel like you're going to puke after it, you might need to sort of find a different way of doing things. But yeah, like not great for digestion, but look, this is extreme shit. This is extreme bodybuilding. try and hold off for as long as you can before you need to do that. And that's what I would say to people. Don't do it just because it's convenient. You're like, oh, it's convenient. Like, I don't mind. I'm just going to do it. It's easy now. Like, it's like, no, if you've still got an appetite to eat, please do. And then do it when it's needed. It's the, I don't, it's a bit of a joke because I don't use DMP, but it's the DMP of bulking.
Yeah.
The last resort. Do you know what I mean? The Hail Mary, yeah, kind of thing.
What do you think in terms of high? Because you said it, high and low days to keep hunger high.
So, not necessarily doing like a low day in the week. Using your rest day food doesn't necessarily need to be crazy high. That being said, there's funny enough, like I've got clients who I call them human pits of carbs, where their rest day actually got matched up to the same as their high day. And now if you get someone who's like that and they've got a shit appetite, either find a different sport or fucking go in, unlock a new level of drive, because you've been handed a really poor hand within this sport, right? Considering it's about getting big, it's a lot of eating. So with what is it? As you said, certainly if you can, and you can grow like it, rest day food a little bit lower, training day food, and then if you need to prevent oversaturating yourself, using like a higher food day where you might have higher food going in. And I quite like Sasan taught me this. Like we used higher food days on weaker body parts, and it actually really helped bringing up those body parts. And if your carbs do get very, very high and you are enhanced, and you do want to prevent yourself getting as a diabetic, then insulin can be used on those days as well. Especially if you're using growth hormone. I mean, I've got to try and prevent becoming a diabetic now. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good anchor, because I think you're measuring blood sugar only in off season, or how do you do it?
I only do it in off season. I get it done on my bloods every time, like my HbA1c, which is like a better thing to sort of view what's going on. But yeah, just in the off season, I'm measuring it. I mean, I can measure my blood sugars in the morning if I wanted to, but they're going to be sitting like 3.9. I'm not taking any insulin at the minute. I am taking growth hormone, but I'm taking 4IU. I'm not taking, like, if I was pushing past 6, then I'd be a little bit conscious of what's going on and would check like every week just to make sure things are okay. But yeah, I would see the need to do it in prep.
Okay.
All right. Also, what I think is important is because I also have seen that you also are affiliated with Jeffrey Yu, with John Jewett's course. And so my question for you would be, how important do you see actually a holding phase after a big push phase, for example, to maybe maintain the strength in the gym or the new muscle, the new contractile tissue that you have gained? Is that something you're also incorporating in your coaching?
Yeah, again, situational. Is it a really big bodybuilder? Then yes. Is it a bikini athlete? No, probably not. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it depends as well. Like, are we where are we in a phase? Are we going into a competition prep? Well, then I probably would. Like, let's say your show's in 8 weeks' time. You finish your push up. Well, I might just actually like hold you for like 5 weeks, and then we might start a little early, depending on how soft you are. Or you might be in a really good position. Like, I've got a client first timer, and I'm like, we're in a holding phase and we're in a health phase at the same time. And it's like, his inflammation's come off, and I look at him and I go, fucking hell, he's quite lean. I'm like, man, we're going to be 18 weeks out. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, well, like, really trying to hold him a lot better. And it's actually like, having to do like a proper type of holding phase with him to try and hold. So it's definitely situational. And one thing about the J3, which I liked when I did the J3U, and why I was delighted when John approached and said I'd be a part of the J3U team and be an ambassador to promote the course, it was those things that he says, like, I don't know if you guys have done it, but it kind of, when he's teaching these things, he's teaching it with a way that of like saying, like, you don't always have to do a holding phase. Does that make sense? It's going to be situational. It's dependent on where that person is. I mean, like, let's say you get someone, you push them up and they're big, but they've got really quite soft. It's like, you know what, you've got enough fat on you that you're going to hold that tissue. You're okay. Like, you're also using anabolics, and what you could also do is taper the anabolics down slightly, a little bit. You don't need to go from taking fucking 2 grams of gear and go, right, you're going to do 200 tests a week. You could just go, okay, let's bring that down a little bit to like a gram. Just sit on there for 2 weeks as we bring that initial drop, which then is going to bring a bit of a drop, and then let's bring you down to 500, and then sit on there for a little bit, and then bring it down to 200 with a bit of growth hormone. Okay, sweet, or 300, whatever the size of the person is, whatever they need to do to hold their tissue, and then sit them on that for a little bit there, and then you might have, all right, and then we have like a proper 4-week phase where we've been on like lower anabolics, but they've cleaned up, but they might hold there. So, yeah, I mean, yet again, do I do it to everyone? No. Do I think it has a purpose? Yes. But it's situational, like a lot of things in bodybuilding is.
Okay, so we know that we need a proper starting point to begin with a long productive gaining phase. What are things to look out for when you push your body weight up slowly? Is there a rate of gain you aim for, or how do you do it?
Yeah, like, I would say definitely probably have a rate of gain number in your head. But now, look at your visuals. Really do look at your visuals, because you might be someone who, like, let's say let's get a gaining phase beginning, and we get like this. Like, I do work with naturals, but I work with a lot of enhanced people. All right, like a lot of people come to me because they want to work with drugs. I'm really open about my use of drugs. Right?
Please make an example for those two.
Okay, so like, I might have so let's say we've got someone who's anabolics. Someone who goes on anabolics, what happens when we go on anabolics? We just put your chest up, we've just started tapering. You're going to get nitrate fullness. Well, your scale weight's just gone up by 5 pounds. Now, if you're fixated on that, 1.5 pound per week, you're fucking shitting bricks. But you're fuller, you're leaner, you're harder because the muscle's just pressing against the skin. So I would say use a rate of gain and think about it, but take it with a pinch of salt. Make sure you're assessing your fattest body parts. Now, if you're someone who's got a really fat body part, like your lower back, but then you can have hard abdominals, then just take that with a pinch of salt. Just know that you're probably someone who's got to dig hard to get that off, because if you just go by your fattest body part, then hang on a minute, why have you got quad striations and hard abdominals, but you're pulling back? There's still room to go, bro. You're just unfortunate and distribute your fat poorly. You're just going to have to work that off in prep. You're a bodybuilder, aren't you? You should be able to do that. So I would always say aim, but then look for that sort of look for your visuals. Are you, if someone puts 5 pounds and it's 4 pounds, what happens to them? They get all in watery. They kind of look when you're like, ugh, maybe just like not push your food this week. Maybe just hold back, or maybe pull back a little bit on the grub. And usually it comes from someone having a poor off-plan meal, right? Like that person might have not had an off-plan meal for 6 weeks, and you go, yeah, go enjoy a meal off. And it's like, what? Fucking how much did you eat? Well, I had a burger, and then I had a pizza, and then I had a cheesecake. Well, you had a burger and a pizza, and the whole thing. Like, okay, right. Do you know what I mean? So maybe if people are listening to this, maybe that first off-plan meal you have out of your cart, give yourself a calorie limit. Say like something sensible, 1,500 calories, something like that. All right, swap it for 2 meals, swap it for a meal. And then for a natural person, you're not going to have the drugs added because you're natural. So then it will just be the calorie surplus. So it makes things probably a little bit more simple, because if you've gained 5 pounds and you look watery and terrible and you're very blurred, well then you're pushing too hard too quickly. But certainly you might put 3 pounds of fullness on and you look better, and you look fuller, your muscles pressing against the skin, you're actually quite flat. No, you look okay. You're not, your water retention isn't crazy bad or anything. Okay, keep on this path, and then eventually that person will probably go like, they only put a pound on the next week. Oh, they put 0.2 of a pound, 0.1 of a pound. You probably need more food, mate. That 0.1 of a pound, my lifts are barely going up much. I progressed 1 lift all week. As a natural, you've got to remember, we sit here, I don't know if you guys are enhanced, but I talk about fucking lifts progressing, coming out my arse, every single set of them. I've got clients and I'm like, yeah, his lifts are progressing, etc. And it's very obvious that this person's an anabolic user because, he's 215 pounds and hard and abs and stuff, and his delts are popping, you know, it's very obvious. But like as a natural, just remember, like if you're putting on a couple of reps up, like on a few exercises, you're doing pretty well. Okay, you know, like you know, don't think that you can't progress every single lift. Don't go in with that mindset, but don't compare yourself to Ginger Josh, who's taking, you know, 1.6 grams of gear a week in his off season. You know, you know what I mean?
Thank you. That's what I find really good when talking to you is that you are very honest about your use and the difference you're making between natural and enhanced. Since when are you on anabolics?
Oh man, I went on a bit too early. Like I started taking anabolics at 21. So 21 is just before I met my wife, actually. Um, yeah, I'll tell you about that. So I started training, and I remember of all people who got me into training was my mum. So my mum took me to like a local leisure centre gym. Started going to like training. Met a guy at the gym who was like, you like, you know, notice like he gave me a workout plan. Notice I followed this workout plan that was part of your gym induction. Started following it religiously, and he was like, "You don't want to come here, mate. You want to go to Hanley's. You want to go to the bodybuilding gym." And I was like, "Okay." So I went and had a look at it, and then like Christmas happened, and I went and signed there. And I remember like, you know, that bodybuilding bug really started. I was looking at sort of like I watched fucking Generation Iron. I got bit by the bug. I was heavily influenced by people like Callum Von Monger back in the day because I saw him. He was a big boy. I thought he was a bodybuilder, but you know, now I look back, I like really wasn't a bodybuilder. And then I went to this gym, and they were like legit bodybuilders. And considering I'd lived in this town for what was I, 20 at the time, so like 20 years. No, 19. I was 19, yeah, about 19, 20. Considering I've never seen these guys and they were monsters, I was like, what the fuck? Who are these people? And there was all like bodybuilders on the wall. I was like, this is nuts. So, you know, and there was like people who were like pre-contest and they were like really scary. And I was like, oh shit. And then like they went up to me and they're like, oh, you're the new guy. All right, Josh, how you doing? I'm like, why is he so softly spoken? Like, you know, like this guy with a teardrop on his eye, and it's like, fucking hell, like this is crazy, but the sounds. And yeah, like, you know, that bit me by the bug. But then fast forwards, I remember like, so I was started obviously, you know, stopped following kind of a manga really, which I do like him, but didn't really watch because the bodybuilders are in front of my fucking eyes doing like 4-plate squats, fucking nose bleeding. I'm like, Jesus, what's going on? You know, I'm like, okay, these guys are right in front of me, who are like heavily motivating. And then, you know, I was like more wanted to start competing. And then my mate, who was like, he's my best mate now, he was like, yeah, you know, wait, he remember him saying, wait till you're 25, wait till you're 25. And I was like, yeah, I really want to compete. And then someone was like, well, you could compete as a natural. The guy who's a good friend now, he's a judge at the time. He was like, you could compete as a natural and be a good natural, but you know, this is a guy who won the British. And he showed me Kuba Chella. I can't pronounce his last name, but Kuba. You know Kuba?
Yes.
Showed me a picture of him, and like Kuba was like nearly 100 kilos on stage as a junior. And I was like, holy fuck, this guy's massive. I was like, right, I'll take some gear, yes. I wasn't in a position to take it. I remember trying to like struggling to swallow a fucking 10 milligram Dianabol. Like, do you know what I mean? That's where I came from, old school. And it wasn't a good first cycle. And then, yeah, started taking testosterone. And luckily, I was a broke PT and a uni student at the time, so I didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't do anything silly. And then went to the prep the next year and got with Jordan Peters, who got me sort of on the doing things correctly, doing things properly. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely didn't maximize my first cycle, which I heavily regret. But certainly I did make progress. And now looking back, I was like, do you know what? As much as people sort of talked down to you and made you kind of think that you were like weren't making good progress, and people said like, because I used to say silly things like, oh man, I want to be like Dorian Yates. And they'd be like, yeah, but do you remember what Dorian looked like at 19? And I was like, so? And like, do you know what I mean? And I was like, so what? Like, you know, they're kind of like, in the UK, there's kind of like a bit of a pessimistic vibe between a lot of people that sometimes can be banter, but then sometimes can be like, they kind of can be quite nasty and serious about it. You know, and it came across that way a little bit. And then It's probably why I've got so much fucking drive right now, because I want to prove everyone wrong. You know? These people that don't even know me anymore, do you know what I mean? They don't know what I do. But yeah, so I know that went in a bit of a tangent, but that's pretty much how I first started taking anabolics.
Okay.
Maybe also we should clarify that if I'm not 100% correct, but since you live in the UK, I believe there's anabolic androgenic steroids, I class 5 drug, and for personal use, it's probably legal, right?
Yeah, personal use is legal. Distribution, like if you're selling them, it's obviously illegal. But you know, I could walk in the street with my fucking vial of test, and no one can say nothing. Bit weird thing to do, and probably don't want it open because you probably get contaminated and end up fucking getting an infection. But
Yes, just going on
yeah,
a walk with my test.
yeah. Just gonna go on a walk with my testosterone. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not a. And then I know. I don't know if you guys know who Dave Quaslin is. Dave Quaslin's who did the.
Yes.
He did the. What was his films? They were fucking great films. Under Construction. If you haven't seen them, Under Construction and Under Discussion 2. But he's someone who does a lot of work, and he speaks about it on the Drugs and Stuff podcast, which is great. And like Dave speaks about like how the police kind of don't know what a personal amount is. So like you could get pulled over. You could buy I could buy like my testosterone I need for the year, which would be like a big bulk of fucking tests, right? And it's like, but that actually, and I think he actually helps in cases where people get caught and they're like, well, this guy's a fucking pro, or like he's trying to be professional bodybuilder, trying to be pro. Like he's just got his whole stack. He'll probably use that for the rest of the year, and they'd be like, oh shit. And then your gear gets taken away from you. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Sorry, when we come back to the off-season topic, because I remember the question that I want to ask you. When it comes to exercise selection, I noticed with myself, and I noticed with a couple of my clients, that they are able to tolerate more axial loading while in an off season. Have you recognized that as well?
What do you mean? What loading did you say? Like compound?
Axial
loading, more squats, deadlifts, barbell rows.
Well, I mean, in an off-season setting, you're probably going to fucking hell. Sorry, my cat's playing. Oi, piss off! What are you doing? Stop it. He's playing with the wires. So in terms of an off-season setting, I mean, you're going to have a calorie surplus, so you're going to be able to get away with more, right? And then if you add anabolics on top of that, then you're going to be able to then probably tolerate those heavier lifts, those harder lifts, that you're going to be doing, potentially be able to upscale your volume. I mean, some people do program like that, and don't get me wrong, there's times where if I see someone's got a weaker body part, they're training it really well, then certainly I might try and throw a bit more frequency and a bit more volume at that body part to try and grow more, especially if everything's being done well. Do you know what I mean? On there. So, but then, yet again, I think I do agree. I probably agree with you that the fact that they can recover more, that they tend to, and even for me, like you get into a prep and you get to like 6 weeks out, you start to lower people's volume with certain things. If you're doing 3 sets of hack squats, it's probably going to be down to 2 sets of hack squats. You're probably not going to be able to do that. Your barbell rows, etc. Sorry, he's pulled every cable fucking thing.
Okay, so in some of your previous videos, you mentioned that you're a fan of higher frequency when it comes to like calf training, for example.
Yeah.
What other parts do you personally use this like methodology for? Too?
Everything. Like if you can train your body parts more frequently and grow and recover, then you can grow more, right? Correctly. Like if you're in a calorie surplus, and you can recover. If you can recover from like your main muscle groups, potentially like ones that might need a little bit longer, like every 5th day, why are we doing them every 7th day? This falls back to the enjoyment, probably the number one factor of why you're not doing it, because you can't train like that. or there's huge limitations in your life, childcare, whatever it is, whatever that is. But for this instance, let's say we've got someone who's fucking driven, doesn't care what day they train. Yeah, like, why are you doing every 7th day when we could be doing every 5th? You're going to grow. Now, other body parts, like your arms, your calves, they tend to recover a little bit more a little bit faster. So why are we doing every 5th then? Why don't we push it to every 3? Or why don't we push it a little bit more? Why don't we try and push your arms to every other day? If we can get away with it and we're in the surplus, and this is why I said go back to it, if someone's training things correctly, and then we can just push a little bit more, like get them very, very close to that red line. And the things I say to look out for is like, look out for that joint soreness, like your arm work, look out for your fucking elbows, because you're probably going to get 6 weeks of like red line in it and go, oh man, I feel like my tendonitis is killing me. Pull back a little bit, pull back for a few weeks. I feel pretty good now. Go again. Let's do it. And then, push this person's body weight like 45 pounds or 40 pounds in a push up. We come back down, have a look at their arms. They're like, fucking hell, Josh, I've got 20-inch pythons. Yeah, too fucking right you have, bruv. Do you know what I mean? You've been training them like a beast. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like, look, that's yet again, it's like the theory's there. The J3U, like John's big on this, he talks about it. The theory's there, but then it's making it practical. And that's the hard bit. Is it practical? And then that yet again it falls back to like the other things that you mentioned. Situational. It's the individual. Can that person execute that way? Is that going to be good for that person? XYZ.
Okay, let's have a practical example. Let's say someone has a decent amount of muscle and we need to get those arms up. How would you set them up and progress the volume when execution is on point?
So, like, let's give a split. Like, what split are they doing? So, let's say they're doing like a push-pull legs. They're doing push, pull, rest, legs, rest. I'll probably maybe go push, legs, rest, pull, rest. And then I'm going to stick arms, some arm work, like maybe quite a big chunk of arm work on push, at the end of push day. And then I'm going to take the piss a little bit, teeny weeny bit, maybe like 1 or 2 sets on the end of legs, rest, yet again, push them again on the pull. So like a nice big chunk. So now that person's every session, but let's break it down a little bit, that they can recover from what we've got, like every sort of 3rd to 2nd day that we're going to be hitting arms. And then we look at their total volume per week. Well, now they're doing fucking, across after each session, so after sort of 5 days, they've done a total like 12 sets. Now, 5 times 12, like sweet. Do the math. Like, how many times are we fitting 5 into a month? Or it's like 6. So then 6. And it's like, oh my god, this person's done stupid amount of fucking sets on their arms, and it's like, yeah, again, the guy who's like, yeah, but what about an arm day, bro? Yeah, you're doing 10 sets or 12 sets every 7th day. You've done it 4 times. Like, the guy's done quadruple your volume. Do you know what I mean? Well, not quadruple. That's way over exaggeration. But do you see what we're going on? Yeah, again, how are we going to know like this is going to work? Are you recovering? Are you slowly getting stronger? Are you being connected with what you're doing as well? Like with arm work, I'm like, it's not all about just swinging weight around. Yes, we need to progressively get stronger, but with good form while staying connected. And that's for all muscle groups as well. But certainly, like with your arms, that's something I try and tunnel into people a little bit more. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to get fucking bad joints real quick. You're trying to fucking sling fucking 30 kg dumbbell on a preacher, and you're like, man, you got fucking 15-inch fucking little peeny arms. Fucking bring weight down, control it a little bit more, and then get stronger at it. That's how I do that.
Thanks. So I know you're all in with personal responsibility within your coaching. After our talk, since we started, I recognized that pretty often. How do you deal with people who are standing in their own way?
Do you mean they're not adherent, or they don't want to change, or?
I'd say maybe not finding, I would say, not finding a good starting point for themselves, or they start you coaching and they you recognize that there could be more fire, but it's not there. Like, I know you can't get it, or you can't take yours and push it onto them, but
Okay.
how do you?
Their effort level's poor. Like their execution, their effort's poor. Is what we're trying to say. So like
Yeah,
they're ticking the boxes, but the quality isn't there.
yeah,
I'm gonna bring it up to you. Like if I've got someone, I'm like, you're doing all right, mate, but like you're not quite changing the way you should be. Let's see some. Let's see some sets. Let's see your sets. Send me some videos of you training. Shock doesn't send me any videos of his training. I'm going to bring it up. Hey, bro, we're going to send me some training today. Oh, really sorry, mate. Oh, all right, okay. And then it's if that happens a couple of times, or they send you your workout. If they do send you a workout and it's subpar, then you work on the problem. You fixed it. Sweet, off you go. And then if they don't, it's like, look, you come to me and you said, I want to look like, oh, you want to look like me. Like, okay, you want to look like me, but you're not putting the effort level in, you're not going to get to your goal. You're just not going to get there. Like the slope, you're looking at Mount Everest and you haven't bought any oxygen. You haven't even bought warm clothes. You're sitting there in shorts and a t-shirt. You ain't making it, mate. And it's about sometimes it's about having those hard conversations with individuals. I mean, look, if it's a Gen Pop client or if it's a lifestyle client looking to lose a bit of fat, whatever, they might be content with that and that's happy. And you know what? That's a little bit different, but this is a bodybuilding podcast. So let's say they're a bodybuilder, right? So like they're a proper bodybuilder. Then it's about bringing it up and it's about having those conversations and being like, and that's how you're going to make more of them. You don't need to say to them, look, mate, if you don't put the effort in, you're fucking shit. Because that's just going to bring someone down. It's about being nice to them, telling them it straight, but then trying to bring them up again a little bit. And I've actually had clients where they've come from other coaches where they haven't had changes, like nothing's happened. And okay, and it's like the first week, it's like, you didn't do your steps, you didn't do your cardio. I'm like, look, mate, if you don't follow this, you're not going to change. I'm just going to let you know now, like, if you have this sort of lackadaisical, like, oh, I was tired, so I didn't do my cardio today, and oh, do you know what? It got really late, and I got out of work late, and it was like 10 o'clock, and I just, I just wanted to go to bed. I'm like, okay, like, that's not someone who makes progress. I'm sorry, that's not so. If you you're paying me, I'm going to tell you straight, because if I can flick that switch in your head. And all right, you've got to work. It's 10 o'clock. You like to be in bed by 10:30, and you go, no. If you stay up and do laps of your kitchen and get those extra 2,000 steps in, you might get to bed a little later. You might be a little tired, but have an extra coffee. Try and get to bed earlier the next day, and then you know what you do when you get to work? Park the furthest away. Little things like that. Just trying to let him. That person might, and it's actually happened recently, like 2 weeks ago. And the reply was, mate, I've never had a coach tell me that. I really needed to hear that, because I really want to make progress. And it's like, yeah, because your last coach didn't give a flying fuck, mate. Your last coach, you're paying him fucking 200 or 250 a month, and he was just happy to take your money and just go, yeah, next week. Didn't care. It's taken me fucking 3 minutes. It took me less than 30 seconds to say those words. But that's motivated him. And I'm like, talking about coaching, yes, a coach, it isn't your job, your coach to meant to follow you up on things, etc., things like that. You should be able to execute, but it is your as a coach job to have a bit of pastoral care and also a bit of a motivator. Like, come on, let's fucking go, mate. Do you know what I mean? And then that as that client, you bless him, he turned around, he was like, I'm mate, sweet. And funny thing is, his last check-in, I think he lost about 2.1 kilos. I'm like, sweet. And he was like, by the way, mate, you can have a cheat meal this weekend. What? Yeah. Keep it 1,500 calories, you'll be absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? It's like, man, I'm dieting, I'm getting a cheat meal a week. This is wicked. My last coach gave me nothing, but it wasn't the fact that he didn't know what adherence was. He didn't know what quality was. He'd never been taught it. Yeah. And it's like, then look at the coach. Does the coach actually know what that is? That's going back into the first thing that you spoke about applying theory to a practical situation. We can all read books and listen to everybody, but like learn how to apply that, you know?
I have another topic that I want to bring on. Manuel, do you want to ask something in regards to that topic?
Actually, I just wanted to ask the same question. For example, if there's a client that has a plateau, maybe in an off-season or in a dieting context, which or what exactly then is your process by actually getting the client to do what you maybe want to do? I mean, the problem is here always that we as coaches, if we want the results more than our client, maybe that is also problematic. But partially, you actually have answered that, what your process is by getting somebody in reality. But maybe, for example, when it comes to nutrition, is that actually maybe you asking for pictures of the meals, or are you saying, hey, could you please track it in Chronometer, or maybe another app you're using? Because I believe Kahunas is very popular, especially in the J4U universe.
Yeah. So, nutrition wise, someone's like not adhering, then you're like, I'll ask you for pictures of your meals. If you're on a macro track, send me photos of what you're eating. What are you eating? What are you putting in your mouth? Send me your your chronometer. Let's see what you're doing on there, on that. You know, and then we'll assess from there. You know, and then if you're, funny enough, sometimes it's like they send me your picture of your food, and it's like, oh, that week you dropped 2 kilos. Okay. So like,
Shocking.
yeah, shocking. So it's like obviously we're doing it, and but I like sometimes you'll get a point and you know someone's lying to you, and it's just like it's about getting real with them. Be like, look, can we have a conversation? Like, I don't mind ringing clients, so I'll be like, can I give you a ring? Let's have a little chat. Like, let's have a. Very hard to lie to someone when you're over the phone to them. Do you know what I mean? When you're in front of them, I'm like, look, I'm not your dad. I'm not your mum. I'm not going to shout at you. You're paying me for a service. What are we really struggling with here? Because obviously, if you're struggling with adherence to the diet, one, it might be too hard for you. You might have set yourself up. This is more to a lifestyle, or people who say they've never competed before who want to compete. You know, and let's say they're doing like a little recomp phase before they're done, before like they just start a push up and they're struggling. You know, you're gonna go. You potentially what you're doing. Maybe it's a little too advanced for you, a little too aggressive, and you're finding it too hard. That's fine, but I just need to know because your body's not moving anywhere. No one's body defies the laws of thermogenesis, really. You know, like if you're eating fucking nothing, you know, because what happens in these situations is you pull someone's calories lower and then you pull them again and you're like, mate, this guy's a fucking 92 kilo bloke and he's eating 1600 calories and he's losing 0.3 a week. Something's wrong. You know, you draw bloods, thyroid is fucking spectacular. You're like, let's have a conversation because, you know, this isn't correct. Do you know what I mean? What you're doing here. You know, and it's about having that conversation, isn't it? I'm not your dad, I'm not your mum, but let's have a chat about it. What are you struggling with? Why are you finding it hard? What, you know, at the end of the day, I don't want to be taking your money if you're just going to be, you know, I feel bad. You know, I know I've got to make a living, I've got to pay my mortgage and stuff, but like I want to make sure that you can do this and that, you know, that what's the deep? There's always a deeper meaning behind it, isn't it? That we're going to find and why someone's not adhering and they're finding those issues. Now, if it gets to a contest prep, because you did speak about contest prep, if someone came to me in a contest prep and they started fucking around with their diet, then I'd go like, the conversation might still be nice, but I'm going to be like, have a really hard think, and we need to have a conversation and have a conversation yourself. Give yourself the weekend, have a conversation with your partner, close friend, and really ask if you really want to do this because this isn't a diet. This isn't a cleanup phase. This is getting to a level of body fat that is ridiculous. Like this, you need to know this is for you, and you're going to need to really want to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And the last thing is what last year it taught me more than anything was like if someone's really struggling with competing to that point, and you're all the signs are there. Have that conversation because either it's going to spur them on just trying to like help them, force them because you want the goal more than them, you know, they're just going to leave, or they're just going to like find it absolutely miserable. And then they're one of these people who are like, yeah, bodybuilding is such an unhealthy sport. It's fucking shit. Da, 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 da. And you're like, you know, you entered a bodybuilding competition. You know what you knew that what it was, what it entailed, right? That's where it gets a little, because you know, also with the competition, there's a big timeline. You're getting on stage, like show days for me. Show days in 11 weeks and 2 days. You don't have a day. You can't afford to have a day to fuck up, really. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it. So, yeah, that's how sort of I would approach that.
Thank you. Shoving down the meals in between.
Get late. I've got to get it in, man.
Awesome. So let's talk injuries. Did you have any major injuries in the past?
Nothing major. I've had a little bit of bruising come off my leg. I hurt myself on a leg press. A hip flexor and TFL. That did bruise. That did come up bruise, but there was no like proper tear or anything. I definitely must have like torn something, but not enough for it to be like crazy bad, right? But it did hurt because I couldn't walk on it very well. I've like had micro tears just in my chest and stuff. Like I had one recently, to be fair, but before prep started. Like my left pec here, just felt it go a little bit. I was like, oh, and then I was like, feels a bit funny. And then I went to see my physio, and he goes, "Oh, Josh, you know, I think you actually had a little tear in it." I was like, "Oh, cool," you know. But I've had nothing like not a rupture, not anything of that anything major like that. There's always something that hurts, you know. If it's my knee, if it's my lower back, if it's whatever. I mean, look, you're pushing loads, and you're like that are just not built for the human body. You also walking around. I mean, I'm getting lean. I'm sitting at 250. I'm still not a healthy body weight of a man who's 5'9". You know, it's all stress onto the body, and it's something you sort of like got to kind of be like, okay. You might feel a bit uncomfortable when you're a 50-year-old man, if you make it to 50 anyway. You know, that was a joke. I'm going to try my best to get there.
I hope we hope you do.
Yeah.
So are you like when it comes to starting your training, are you warming up just with your exercise, or are you doing something else?
I do my basic warm-up, so like I'll do a bit of like some band work, just get myself warm, get joints feeling good, and then like I'll do like a few exercises, just get some blood going, a bit of pre-activation, a lot more than I've ever done, just because I'm getting bigger and I feel like I need to do it. You know, get a few injuries and you get a few minor pecs and pulls. It's kind of like warning signs. Just a little warning sign. Do remember, you know, you are human, Josh. Okay, cool. So yeah, little things like that, and then I do like when it comes to warming up. I know people are like, oh, don't take away from your working sets, but I say to people, do as many warm ups as you feel comfortable that you can take your sets to complete failure. Because there's nothing worse than not being warm and then having to take a set because something could go terribly wrong. So, yeah, get myself warm. Sometimes, let's say if I'm doing like pecs, chest press. Sorry, I'm getting hiccups now. I'm eating too quick. Let's say I'm doing like a chest press or something. You know, some days might do like 3 sets to my working set, or I might do 4. I might do like 6 because I feel like I need more in there. Like this might feel a bit horrible. Oh yeah, and then actually after 5, I'm like, yeah, I'm loose. I feel good now. I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, making sure I give myself a little warm up routine. I think warm up is important.
Yeah, like did your style of training change? Because like I know that in the UK, I'd say that pretty heavy training, but still very controlled training is I'd say in the come up. Not everyone's doing it, but you still have the special guys who are still not getting it. But how did your training change like over the years with
It changed for Jordan Peters. And I give Jordan credit for that. Really helped me learn training more than anything. The thing is why I like Jordan, why I went to Jordan, is because he was someone who came from a very academic background, where I was myself at that period of time, coming from strength and conditioning degree. So a lot of the stuff that he was saying was stuff that I kind of had learned, but like then he had applied it, and then it comes back to applying, it to a practical situation, the theory to a practice. He applied it to bodybuilding, and I was like, oh my god, like yeah, this is shit that Sean was saying in my class, but it's like he's actually made it look like a lot more simple, like to bodybuilding, what I enjoy. So yeah, I mean, I used to train back then. Before that, I was still like working to failure, but I would do probably a little bit more volume, train a little less frequently. And then Jordan was the one who really pushed me to do more frequency, lower volume, because we're doing higher frequency to make up for the recovery. And that all out failure on every set. That was it, every working set. And I really just sort of still just trained just like that. But then for me, I've always gone on, as things have happened and gone on. I'm like, I actually am a big fan of getting stronger across a wider range of rep ranges. Jordan did do that to a degree, but I'm like, you know what? I want to get strong on my 8 to 10 on my leg press, but I also want to get strong at like a 50 rep giant set or my rest pause set. Now we're in competition prep. Your recovery starts to dwindle. We get to 6 weeks out. Those things will die off. The intensifiers are not needed. I don't need to be going past failure. I'm just holding muscle at that point. So they will go. But certainly I am a fan. And it just gives you another way to aim to get stronger across that rep range. So the end of the points are like, I think that by the end of the last push, my 50 rep giant set on the leg press, I was doing what I started doing my 10 to 12 rep at the start of the off season. I was on 6 plates a side. So that's where I got to, and I was doing that, and I was failing around about 20 to 22 reps, and then taking it to 50 from there, using 10-second rests every time I failed, which was brutal. So yeah, so it's changed a little bit, but Jordan was the main influence on where it changed, and I really enjoy that style of training.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
since we talk about your process, and you're roughly lifting for about a decade, are there any mistakes you actually regret? If you could name one or two.
Probably my first cycle, because I just took Dianabol and wasted that. Definitely wish I was in a better position to start taking anabolics. Would have been better. I wish I did that. Other than that, and yeah, to be fair though, like yet again, you learn from your mistakes, right? So if I didn't do that, then I would be couldn't turn around and people were like, "Yeah, I want to take Dianabol. I want to take Anavar only," and you're like, "Ugh, "You don't need to do that." Like that kind of shit. You're like, "Oh, but I don't want to do needles." I'm like, "Do you want to be a bodybuilder? You want to be a professional bodybuilder? Like, you're probably gonna unless you want to do the natural side of things. But if you want to be a freak, like, get used to needles." And funny enough, I was someone who didn't like needles, but I had to come over that fear, So I don't know. To answer your question, anything? I think we learn from our mistakes, so probably not. Maybe I'll take that back about the first cycle.
Okay.
Yeah, because like when it comes to your training, I always liked watching your content because you're not throwing things around, but you're still training hard and heavy, and yeah, that's how I like to train as well. And yeah, just the art of you speaking to people, just I would say in to talk in Manuel's name also is something we enjoy listening to.
Yeah, and just get you guys fucking fired up. That's what we're all about, man.
Tires are pumped.
Yeah. I think for me, look, I can sit here and I can tell you that some people will laugh at this, but I've got really high ambitions in what I want to do in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But I love bodybuilding. Like bodybuilding is so fun. It's like, I mean, bodybuilding. I'm a coach, but through bodybuilding, it's given me a job. It's given me a livelihood already, and I'm so young. And like, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, right? I remember like being in Orlando last year, and we were training at fucking Iron Rebel, whatever it was. It's not called, it's Iron something. I don't know what the gym was. For a split second, I forgot I was in a completely foreign country. Like, yeah, it's America and everyone speaks English, but like, you know, it's not. I'm not at home. Like, I'm not. You know, you just forgot. I was on the squat, doing Smith squats, and fucking just repping fucking reps out, screaming my head off, and people must have been like, "Who's that big ginger fucking cunt just shouting?" Do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus, just shouting his head off, and then all of a sudden you like say to someone, "Oh, bro, can I get a quick spot?" And he looks at you like, "What did you just say?" Like, because he doesn't understand. You're like, "Oh, mate, can I just get you the spot, please?" Oh, and then you realise from his accent, like, hang on, I'm in a different country. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's nothing that can beat that. There's nothing that can beat that. Like, that sort of, you can be in any fucking country. You can be, doesn't matter who you are, you know, like what race you are, where you're from. Part of the bodybuilding community, we're iron brothers and sisters. We stick together. Like, it's all about love. It's all about pushing each other through the pain and having a good fucking crack. And, you know, I want to really try and show people that bodybuilding is good fun. Like, it's hard, but it's good fun. Do you know what? And it's fucking excellent. And embrace your prep. You know, so many people are fucking miserable on prep. Ooh, fucking. You know what? Let's do it with a smile on our face. Let's G people up. You know what I'm saying? Let's get after it. Let's have a good time. And I want to be able to spread that message whilst doing bodybuilding. And that's what I want to do to my clients as well. You know, I'm super passionate about coaching, and I want to be able to get to the Olympias and things like this, and win Arnold Classics. What bodybuilder doesn't, right? Turn professional, etc. But along that journey, I always want to be able to coach because I really like helping people, and I really like doing that. And also, like, especially when you could just G someone up a little bit and help them through it. You know, and I've got a few people now where I'm like, Jesus Christ, this person's, you know, really a good bodybuilder. Like, their future is really bright. If I can just make sure this person I could just pass some of that mindset that I have to him, man, it's game over for everyone else. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And like, if I can walk that walk and walk it all the way, you know what? At the end of this, I'll really be able to help people, and I'll be able to be like a great sort of fucking person for bodybuilding. Be like, yes, this is what we're about. We're not just boring fuckers eating chicken and fucking rice and green beans on a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Who does
we're,
that?
we talk about volume and drugs and whatever. We're people as well. We have a fucking good time doing it. You know, when you want to get involved, come jump into my leg day. We'll have a fucking good one. If you throw up, it's a good time. You know, it's a good crack. We have a good time doing it. You know, I want to try and get that. As much as hardcore as I am, I want to try and get people to see bodybuilding in that sort of light. Do you know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Beautiful.
I think it's that was a good ending for our little session. Thank you very, very much, Josh, for coming on and talking about the different topics we had today. It was fun, and to be honest, nowadays I really miss the fire, and I miss this, like,
Spirit.
the spirit and the heart of bodybuilding. And listening to you was just refreshing, and it reminded me of why I started, because sometimes I get so lost in this sort of like optimal thing, or how do you do things to just I think
Lewis,
you get the point.
number one, mate, and I said it at the start, do what you fucking enjoy, bro. Like, really do what you enjoy, because ultimately your effort's going to be like 10 times as much as someone who's trying to find out the Enigma code, right? Someone's trying to find out the little nooks and crannies. And then, don't get me wrong, if you start enjoying it, and then guess what? You'll probably end up doing things a little bit more optimal, a little bit here, there, by there. You'll end up doing things, but you're enjoying it and you're having a fucking good time. And people see you and go, well, that guy's having a good time. What's he doing? You know, and then, 3 years later, you're fucking 280 and massive. What happened to fucking Lewis? and your beard's down here.
Awesome. Thank
That's
you.
it, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was
Been
a
really-
pleasure and an honor.
It's been a pleasure coming on your podcast. Really good. Like before I come on, I was like, don't get me wrong, I was a little nervous because I haven't spoke to you guys. I'm like, man, I hope I can speak. I don't know why, but before I get a little bit nervous. But then as soon as you get me talking in bodybuilding and we're in a bodybuilding environment,
Yeah.
I'm cool as a cucumber. I do talk for England, but you know what? If it's motivated you and helped anyone out there, good. I've done my job.
For
You
sure.
did. You did. Thank you. Thank you.
It's been great.